Hello, everybody. It's the me, Game Penguin 21, and today, well, it's getting towards the end of the month, and I thought that this monthly roundup will actually be two-parters, because I had a lot of things to talk about, and I'm trying to do more than just, give you the same salt and stuff. But there still will be a lot of PlayStation fanboy salt here. I'm just going to diversify more my portfolio of things that I want to talk about this month, because there was a lot of smaller things that just seemingly got swept under the rug about both positive and negative news. So we're going to go through them today and talk about them more in depth on my own personal opinion. With all that being said, if you like what it is that I do and want to support me in any other way, shape, or form other than like and subscribe, which is always enough, please feel free to follow all the links down below. I am looking to maybe release another album sometime in the summer, though that is a pretty big ways off, and I still need to gather up some of the music and maybe release a couple of singles for music-related stuff. But with that being said, let's get started. And of course, I wanted to start off with this thing that I saw very early on in the month. I don't know when I specifically saw this because I just happened to find it, but from a person by the name of Lo Ping. That's their actual Twitter name, but their thing is Gaming and Pandas. It's their Twitter handle. Said Steam's now shames abandoned early access games, where they say that this, where the basic thing is in that sort of yellowish text here says, no, the last update made by the developers was over 4 years ago. The information and the timeline described by the developers here may no longer be up to date. Where a lot of people had some very interesting opinions on this. Mine? It's not shaming if you're keeping the audience or the consumer base specifically involved. Now, that's not to say that they shouldn't do this or that they should do this, just that information and transparency, to me, is at least important. There were a majority of weird conflicting opinions on this. Some people saying, oh, they shouldn't shame developers for abandoning their games, or, some other people saying, oh, this is fantastic. But my thing can be properly kind of pulled down to, I think, what Brain Springe here says, saying, good, it's up to the buyer to do the proper research. If someone is going to buy property, there are so many things you need to think about just before buying because it looks nice. Does it have working septic? Or, well, are the electricity hookup? What is the zoning laws, etc.? And someone underneath had a very strange take on this, saying, comparing buying a game to buying property. Well, have you lost your mind? Are you able to think about the comparison? This is a little bit and find flaws. No, I actually think that Brain's logic here, or Brian, however you pronounce it, I'm just going to call him Brain, he basically is correct. I do think that when you are, buying anything, you should be informed as much about the product as possible. Certainly, it might be weird to see some sort of small note at the bottom, but again, that's to say, hey, this right here might not have the same things that you're looking for, and sure, maybe it's shaming something, but that's not really the case, because it's literally just giving you more information about the product that you otherwise wouldn't have. And, it's a Steam game where the person just released it and didn't have it in any early access and didn't update it in a long-ass time. I would think that would be important information to have, just verbatim. I don't know why this has been a debate the entire time, but yes, I do think that informing the person who is buying something about, the aspects of the property or the aspects of the shit that you're buying is important for not only transparency's sake, but for also just the sake of knowing and getting good information on the product. But that's just me. We then switch over to a few Icon-era things that I wanted to talk about here. One from the beginning of the month, talking about how so many wins for PlayStation today. Sony gets publishing rights for From Software games, and GTA 5 releasing in 2025. Now, I'm not sure if this was actually the case. I really don't know anything more than just this Icon-era tweet or whatever. You could probably find some people talking about this, but as far as I could tell, the only reason why they might have some From Software publishing rights is because they are now, a majority or have more stakes in From Software as in terms of that, where the main thing that they cite here is seemingly some sort of 1 or 2 articles where it's talking about how they're going to have a closer relationship with Kadokawa now that they have more investment into it, which that's still really weird and still kind of dumb, but whatever. As for the GTA 5 one, or the GTA the next GTA game, this is GTA 6. I'm sorry, Roman numerals can confuse me because of dyslexia. But with the next GTA game, having them publishing rights, I don't think that Rockstar would ever do that, which is just makes me think that this is very weird. But another one here, which was, again, a huge thing that was talked about this entire time, was there was apparently leaked Discord exposés on anti-PS5 campaign, including things such as Killborn, Xbox Era, and Digital Foundries, among other members, in terms of creating, quote, an anti-PS5 campaign. Now, this is rumors, and this is, again, leaked DM information or leaked Discord expose, whatever. I haven't seen anything else here, just that there has been claims of these anti-PS5 rhetorics going around through this supposedly leaked Discord DM messaging system or whatever. Again, no one's provided really screenshots of any of these things as far as I could tell. I didn't, again, look at the Icon Era clip itself or the Icon Era thing because going on there will give me severe amounts of cringe cancer. But overall, even if that were the case to have some sort of anti-PS5 campaign rhetoric, like, why is that a problem? I mean, I get why some people might think that that's a problem, but, like, if you're just talking in comparison and talking about, like, the negatives of it, but, you know, there are sources that you still have to provide, don't you think that those people would have, like, been called out for this sort of stuff? Again, this is just rings of people trying to desperately find any way to, you know, simp for their favorite corporation, or at least it feels that way. With Xbox Era, I guess it makes sense, and Digital Foundry is kind of middling. But again, I would like to see these Discord DMs if anyone can provide screenshots or links to them, because I haven't been able to find anything on this. Just that this was a thing and has been passed around as the actual fact. Like Ronan over here talking about how Digital Foundry was created to shill for Xbox and trash PlayStation. Back when Mass Effect 2 released on PS3 after being exclusive on Xbox 360, they trashed the PSV for having real-time lighting. Sony saying the baked fake lighting on 360 looked better. What the hell? Xbox shills. Now, again, I think that that's more of a reflection of the times, at least in terms of that. Because at the time, the baked lighting was considered better because, yeah, baked lighting is usually better in terms of, I think, processing power. Because when you bake lighting, for those of you who may or may not know how game development works, baking lighting versus like real-time lighting has two different things to it. Real-time lighting basically means that you put a light in the scene and you can like move it around, and it does like it affects the environment where you have like shadows and things move, and it will be like continuously updated by the computer and blah 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 blah. That's a severely like layman's terms explanation and probably not even fully correct. But baked lighting is more of where you just have a light source, you bake the lighting into the environment, and then the computer doesn't have to do any calculations because it's just a stationary lighting thing where it can have lights in certain areas or cannot. It basically makes it so that way it's less processing for the computer, or less processing power taking the computer's resources, essentially, though it can be used on other things. Again, that's super, super, like, basic explanation, and probably, again, not even fully correct, but that's from what I know. So, I mean, again, this is back during Mass Effect 2, which was, I released, like, in the early 2010s, maybe even a little bit earlier in the 2000s or whatever. But it was seen as worse because it might have affected other things. He's just saying that this, for having real-time lighting, might have taken away from the effect of some of the actual aesthetics of the game, or might have taken away from some of the performance of the game, making it run worse. I don't know. I don't know if that's supposed to be a thing. But also, one of, if not the other things here, is that PlayStation basically says that he nailed it with at Elon Musk, again, retweeting the leaked Discord GMs because he says that, and then he says, video game journalism is garbage. Now, while I agree with the sentiment that video game journalism is garbage, this is someone retweeting Elon Musk. Everyone point and laugh at this person. Please and thank you. I have no further comments on this. I just think that it was really funny that someone decided to retweet and even at Elon Musk. Ay. But, of course, there is more of this, where I think the Trek, I think it's Trek, actually. That whatever the hell your name is, very nice profile picture, by the way, with breaking, a popular internet forum, Icon Era, secretly touts their viral success of a 2020 Discord leak and coordinates with popular creators, several well-known for doxing on X, while orchestrating the certain, quote, death of Xbox, which, again, is also probably a little bit more accurate than the leaked Discord DMs. Several of the people on the actual website of at least Icon Era and some of them on X have been known for doing these sorts of things, which is basically leaking information. And overall, like, yeah, certainly, these sorts of things are a thing that happens, and again, that's why I don't trust that these Discord DMs are even real, or even if they are real, that I don't trust the sources that are actually utilizing it. Cite your sources and check them, please, people, whenever you're doing anything. But next up, we have some interesting news from Steam, where Steam, or Valve specifically, is banning all Steam games that force players to watch advertisements, aka most mobile-type games or freemium-type games where you watch a ton of ads in there. Now, this one, again, led to a very interesting split between both people that were for this and people that were... I misworded that, but you know what I mean. The people that are against them banning these types of games kind of sort of were like, oh, well, that's just kind of dumb. But at the end of the day, when you realize, like, oh yeah, watching advertisements sucks, then yeah. Some people tried to blame this on Valve not getting, quote, their 30%, which in some cases I guess is true. But I think this is more of a reaction to, say, them placing the advertisements on there. Yeah, certainly, it might be because of the monetary thing where they don't actually get their games or their advertisements to where they want it to, but it also protects the people that, like, play on their thing where they don't really like the ads in their games anyway. I mean, do you like mobile game ads? Do you like the ads in the games? Do you remember when fucking there was unskippable ads in one of the sports games, like the NBA 2K Jam or whatever? Did you like that? Do you want more of that? No? Then support this. Verbatim. That's kind of dumb. Even if they did get some sort of investment, or like a person did a big donation to them to help fund the game or whatnot, like, putting ads in places sucks. Even the dude who created the pop-up ad, like, code, hates his creation. Just, yeah. But next up, we have another interesting piece of GTA 6 news, again from Eurogamer, and we're going to be looking at Blue's retweet of this, talking about how the GTA 6 PC version, teased by Take-Two, acknowledges the platform's growing importance, which was a thing that was going around for a while, where GTA 6, the people at the top saying, oh yeah, we're witnessing that the growth of the PC has been quite interesting over the times. I don't remember the official quote that they gave, but again, you can probably search it up somewhere. And Blue over here comes out saying, it's cool that they said this, but come on, y'all, does anyone really think Rockstar was going to skip PC? Because he's making fun of the people that were basically saying, oh yeah, Rockstar is going to skip PC and do what they normally do, or they get people to double dip. Which they still might do, but again, GTA 5, which released a long-ass time ago, is kind of getting into that point where it's becoming a little too big or whatever. At the end of the day, saying that they were going to skip PC is very stupid. They might skip it for like a year and then release it later because that's kind of been their MO. But again, they have been acknowledging the importance of this is happening, so they might release it day and date. Next up, we have a Pirate Nation here. And this one was interesting to just talk about because if this is true, which I am unsure if it is, but allegedly, Roblox is under investigation by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission for one reason or another. Again, this was another story that seemingly got swept under the rug for something. Unsure if true. Again, there is no like actual citing of anything here. But the one thing that I would say that they would be under investigation for would be some of their like practices of like labor laws and things like that in terms of making this and that and the other thing. But overall, I found this very amusing to talk about because, again, it's Roblox getting investigated by the fucking government. How can I not at least mention this? Again, we can also talk about, again, we'll just quickly pivot from that little detour talking about how Take-Two boss is unconcerned about the plummeting PS5 and Xbox sales, insists that GTA 6 will cause a meaningful uptick in console sales in 2025, which, very bold of you to claim, sir, but we continue saying, should remove PS5 from the headline, only one console sales have plummeted, talking about how both of the sales have been not doing great. But I think that at the time that this actually kind of broke, the sales of PS5 wasn't doing as good as it was. But he says, to kind of, I guess, emphasize this, he says, I'm simply pointing out the fact that this is not an option. PS5 console sales are pacing ahead of the PS4 in the US, and the PS5 is doing well overall, the opposite of what the headline reads. Also, Take-Two CEO didn't say console sales are plummeting, headline isn't a quote. I mean, I guess that's true. I guess the headline is more negative than anything else, but again, this is IGN that we're talking about here, so the headlines aren't always the greatest. But saying to like, oh yeah, remove the PS5 sale from this, just that, again, that's that fanboy mentality, and I'd feel very weird to just not bring up that, again, this is MPG that we're talking about here. But to go back onto the topic of this, it does seem that Take-Two is taking notice of the PC as well as taking notice of the Xbox and console sales not doing as great as previous years. So again, that's like neither here or there. I just wanted to bring that up because it's quite interesting. This quote was also, again, pulled from this as well, where he says that we've seen much more importance of the PC and the console, blah, blah, blah. And Strux Boy here says, only idiots have not yet understood that the PC is the only gaming market with growth. Well, while I wouldn't say that it's the only place with growth, as the gaming market overall has grown pretty significantly within the past 10 years, I would say that it's the only I would say that it's one of the gaming markets that is experiencing significant growth within the past, like, 5 to 7-ish years. I'm not sure of when specifically, so generalization of that in some context. But let's switch over to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which had a lot of different interesting things. But one of the interesting things here was that Roxy Clark here talks about how Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is one of the top 10 most played single-player games on Steam ever, where it's peaked at over 256,000 players. Quite impressive numbers, sir. That is fantastic, even just for a single-player game. Even for, like, a game in general, 256 concurrent players on Steam alone is pretty solid. Again, that's comparison to other games and blah, blah, blah. But talking about how Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 was a pretty niche game, and the sequel is the top 10 is over on Steam, which is pretty cool. Again, I think it's because the people here were talking about, oh, this is anti-war, or blah, 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 blah. Of all the other controversies on this list, this one was pretty interesting. But I wanted to talk about this because of Andy Pants, where he responded saying a mediocre space RPG did better. And he quotes Starfield. So, Andy Pants, you mean this Starfield?
The more I played the game, the more I thought, why do I not care about this world or any of the people in it? I think it's because Starfield is a safe, sanitized universe filled with what some people call toxic positivity. The companions in this game have no beliefs of their own. They have no edges. They have no perspective of their own. They just exist to be a sort of blank canvas for you. And even worse, they will go heterosexual or bisexual for you depending on what you are looking for. It's pretty pathetic, actually. And when I realized this, it just kind of put a depressing pall over the entire game. This game was clearly made safe and sanitized by some DEI department full of progressives who wanted to create life as they would like it to be, rather than life as it is.
Or do you mean this Starfield?
I never saw racism in this game. I never saw evil. I never saw cruelty. But I also never saw goodness. I never saw true virtue. I never saw sacrifice or beauty either. What people often say is that a game made for everybody is a game made for nobody, and that definitely applies to Starfield here. I can just feel the DEI hires coming through the screen and all the diversity consultants that worked on this game to sand it down and make it as inoffensive as possible.
Yeah. Again, while a quote-unquote mediocre space RPG did better, I thought that you hated this game because, that space RPG that you mentioned was very much so bad and woke and not good. but you then also are deciding to simp for this game, or maybe not simp for it, but you're also deciding to use this game as an example, saying, hey, this game did better, despite the fact that the two games are not comparable. One game is a space RPG, a space-aged RPG that's made by Bethesda, a big-ass fucking company, right? And the second game that you're mentioning is more of an indie studio that had a bunch of stuff, like, they're not comparable. While they're both technically RPGs, they both have different mechanics. They both are taking place in vastly different time frames and settings. But overall, I just find it really funny how he's using this as an example when he's said this stuff about the game. Gives you food for thought. Yeah. Anyway, to kind of round out this video, we have a couple of things here talking about the actual Game Award, or not the Game Awards, the State of Play. Now, the State of Play here came and went, and overall, people were like, that was garbage. And at least the people who weren't PlayStation fanboys, obviously, talking about at least how Clute here, mentioning that there was none of the games that he listed off here, including things like no Bloodborne or no Marathon. People thought that Marathon was a thing, but that was just kind of a bait and switch. And a single surprise was Ceranos, which they only really got like a CGI trailer for. And RGD kind of poses the question of do they make games anymore with a whole bunch of these games. And again, all of these were like a bunch of remasters, multiplats, and stuff like that. But Icon Era tried to come in and tried to force some from some not so correct and actually very incorrect information, saying that there were no PC ports announced at the State of Play. Cry about it. Or readers added context saying that several PC ports were listed at the State of Play, including games like Stellar Blade, which I guess people just don't account for. But they also then talked about how, going into the actual article, where Bryak here basically says, in the year's greatest and only State of Play, there was a notable lack of PC ports. One update that will be free for Days Gone will come to PC and PlayStation 5 Pro. This free update does cost, again, $10, depending on where you do. But other than that, nothing for PC. It was the one aspect of this uneventful State of Play that I really applaud. Despite the fact that, again, Stellar Blade was announced for PC. Several other games were announced for PC that I can't think of off the top of my head. But Stellar Blade was probably the biggest one because, again, that one was the funniest. There were a couple of games that were like that. And then to kind of round this off, we then have Astro Zyborg talking about how I'm pro games going everywhere. He'll end up buying them on PlayStation as well. I bought Hi-Fi Rush day one on the PS5, where King Thrash decides to, say this to post a gotcha, quote-unquote gotcha, of, I miss the PS3 era fanboys. You wouldn't catch them dead begging for the big Xbox exclusive. They had pride. Where are those new era ones will beg for all their games? I don't see how this is a gotcha, because it's just been very consistent that he's pro games everywhere, and he misses the PS3 era fanboys who are, who had integrity and stuff, and they wouldn't be begging for... how is this a gotcha in the sense of, oh yeah, I'm pro games everywhere, I really like that, and then you just do it by having an opinion that's completely consistent, actually, with the opinion that he's had. So, are you off your meds again, King Thrash? Because, again, he has this handle of King Thrash Console War winner. Cool, dude. I really don't think that we need to end it on anything else other than that notes. But yeah, it's quite stupid. Overall, I think that King Thrash overall, I think that this was a pretty uneventful part 1 month. In part 2, we'll take a look at a couple other things, a lot more of interesting stuff, but for now, I will leave you off with this. Please don't be a fanboy, don't be someone who is probably just having... Well, I mean, you can have your own opinions all you want, but just know that you're not above criticism, at least for the most part. My name is GamePeng21. If you like what it is that I do, want to support me in any other way, shape, or form, again, other than a like and subscribe, which is always enough, please hit those links down in the description below. I love you. I'd like to reach 1.5k subs by the end of the year. Please and thank you. If so, I might release something special, though I'm unsure as to what that would be. With all that being said, again, thank you so much for watching, and a peace. Off.
Hey man, can I get a favor?